Hey, Principles of Biomedical Science students. This is the video walkthrough of the 2.1.4 lab journal entry. If you are in my A-Day classes or my B-Day class, you can click from stream over to classwork. For my A-Day classes, you'll find it in the Monday 412 topic. For my B-Day class, you'll find it in the Friday 416 topic. Remember, students, that Thursday, the 15th, is an odd day. Only freshmen and sophomores come into the school for, I think it's access testing. No, Aspire testing. I knew it started with an A. Even if you're a remote freshman or sophomore, you still come in on Thursday. That's important to note. So anyway, A day or B day, you're in Monday or Friday. Go ahead and open up the 2.1.4 lab journal entry. And here we go. Let's magnify this so you can see it. We're going to walk through this. We're going to look at blood disorders and physical exam results. We can't use the microscope to analyze blood samples, sadly, and we're going to make recommendations. So we did learn about blood, parts of blood, a while ago. If you want to follow along in the MyPLTW website, go to mypltw.org, log in, and go to activity 2.1.4. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is learn what the parts of the blood do. So here is a really cool microscopic animated view of blood. So remember, white blood cells, red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. So if you look, let's see, platelets are for clotting. So when you get a cut and the blood stops coming out because it clotted, thank your platelets. Let's see, white blood cells are for the immune system, so they fight invaders. White blood cells fight off foreign substances like viruses and bacteria. Let's see, red blood cells carry iron and oxygen. So come back on up here. Carry iron and oxygen. Oxygen. And then plasma is just medium that carries the parts of the blood. There you go. Now you know if you didn't know before. And then we're going to put ourselves in the shoes of a phlebotomist, which is the person that draws your blood when you have to have tests. And during a blood draw, phlebotomists use the median cubital vein or the antecubital vein, same thing. Why is this? So let's take a closer look. So here is your median cubital vein. Look at that. It's pretty big, right? So it is an extremely large vessel and often easy to see and feel. Control C, Control V. That's why phlebotomists use it for blood draws. And if you feel around, if you want to feel for a vein, you may know this, you may not. If you find one under your skin, it's a bit springier. It feels springier than normal, just every other thing. Cool, right? Okay, maybe not. So now let's think about blood-borne pathogens. What are some blood-borne pathogens? Let's look it up. Blood-borne pathogens. Let's see. So hepatitis, HIV. Oh, those are the only two they list. So two types of hepatitis. So HIV, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. I'm sure there's more. I feel like I should know this. So I'm going to put that HIV, hepatitis B, hepatitis see. And so, what are some steps that phlebotomists should take? If you were a phlebotomist, what would you do before you started drawing somebody's blood? Yes, I heard that. Put on gloves. What else should you do? Before, during, after? After, you should definitely wash hands. I'm going to put thoroughly. Doesn't need to be capitalized. Perfect. Definitely. Oh, somebody said dispose of needles properly. Good one. So here we go. Here are a couple of review questions. So what steps should you take if you're the phlebotomist before you start drawing their blood? So read these. Greet the patient and introduce yourself. Don't just be a stranger coming at them with a needle. Get confirmation that they're the right person. I'm going to highlight the next one too because you want to make sure they don't have any allergies. And if they're on medications that make their blood thinner, you probably should know that. Apply the tourniquet, generally not before you begin the blood draw. And put on gloves. The tourniquet, if you've ever had your blood drawn, is like that latex band they put around your upper arm. And the purpose of that is to get the veins to pop up and the blood to flow quicker. Okay? So keeping the tourniquet's purpose in mind, here's the question. Remove the tourniquet after you have removed the needle. True or false? If the tourniquet's job is to make the vein pop up and the blood flow quicker, would you want to remove that before or after you took the needle out? That's right. You'd want to remove that before, because if it's making the blood flow quicker and you pull the needle out, the blood might start flowing pretty quickly. So here, this one is false because it says to do it after. So I'm going to highlight that. And if you've ever had a blood draw and you think about it, they take the blood, they put it in the vials, the phlebotomist takes the tourniquet off, pulls the needle out, and puts the gauze and Band-Aid right over where the needle was. It's a pretty specific skill set. So the typical white blood or complete blood count has the following categories. So white blood cells, red blood cells, hemoglobin, hematocrit, and platelets. So let's look at this, and we have to Google what it means for each of these. So if you have a low white blood cell count, usually that's an indication. I pre-Googled this, but I also had it in the back of my mind that the person is fighting some sort of infection. Viral, bacterial, your white blood cells are in battle. So that's going to be low. Right here. Viral infections that temporarily disrupt the work of bone marrow. So let's look at. Oh, wait a minute. I think I had low and high backwards. So I'm going to Control C. I'm going to erase this. Sorry, guys. It happens sometimes. I'm going to just copy in that. Because I think high blood cell. Let's look. See if I'm right. Yep, here we go. Fighting off an infection. I did have that backwards. So, high white blood cell means the person is fighting off an infection. It could also more seriously be a sign of leukemia. So low red blood cells, let's look that up. Here we go. So diseases, anemia, certain medications. So anemia and certain medications. High red blood cell count. Let's delete low and put high. Isn't it cool? Let's see. High red blood cell count may be caused by low oxygen levels, kidney disease, or other problems. Well, all right then. I'm just going to Control C and Control V. Hemoglobin. Let's see. Usually hemoglobin and red blood cell count are very much related. So you see anemia again. And probably certain patients. Some of you may have anemia. You may have been diagnosed with anemia, and that's just low iron levels, and you find you get cold easier than other people. So here we go. High hemoglobin requires an increased oxygen carrying capacity, usually because you smoke or you live at a high altitude. Cool. Here we go. Oh, you smoke, or I should delete that, or you live at a high altitude. So hematocrit. Let's do low hematocrit. Insufficient supply of red blood cells. So low hematocrit means low red blood cells. Then a high hematocrit would mean increased cells. And what a hematocrit is it compares specifically your red blood cells versus your whole blood. Because when you spin your blood around or human blood around in a centrifuge, the red blood cells will clump to the bottom and everything else floats on top and looks sort of a pale yellowish. It's kind of cool. So let's find out about low platelets now. There we go. Let's see. Thrombocytopenia. Here we go. Low platelets can be because you're pregnant, there's a change in altitude, or medication side effects. I like this one right here. So I'm going to Control C, Control V. Maybe get rid of all that extra space. Here we go. High platelet count probably means you've got a cut somewhere. Because if platelets help clot your blood, and if there's a lot of them, generally, let's see, generally means there is something somewhere that's being clot. Let's see. So, or you have chronic infections or inflammatory diseases. So, there is a cut somewhere. I'm going to say there's bleeding somewhere. Or you have a chronic condition. Here we go. Anemia. So, what results could indicate anemia? Anemia is if we put let's see, hemoglobin and red blood cells. So low hemoglobin and but they're usually linked, low red blood cells. I did it backwards in my mind. So let's look. Healthy human blood. Take a look at this. What do you notice? Let's make some observations together. So some evenly spaced. Those little pink circles are red blood cells. A few purple, I should say white blood cells. Yeah. Now, if we look at chronic lymphatic leukemia, we notice right away if these purple dots are white blood cells. Here's a healthy person. What do you notice in a person with this leukemia? Right away, you see there's more white blood cells. What do you notice about the red blood cells? They're not evenly spaced. I would say they kind of form chains to me. That's what it looks like. And then let's look at sickle cell anemia. Old Anna Garcia from the old curriculum couldn't catch a break, and she had sickle cell anemia. So if you look, and you might notice right away, there's no white blood cells. That's just an anomaly. Sickle cell anemia has nothing to do with the white blood cells. But if you notice that, go ahead and put it down. What you should notice about the red blood cells, even though they look evenly spaced, sickle cell refers to the shape of some of them. So if you see some of them are like oblong and pointed at the ends, it's actually a sickle shape like a banana runt. So some red blood cells are long and thin with pointed ends. Ends, not ends. This isn't Lord of the Rings. And that causes a whole bunch of problems in people with this condition, mainly due with the sickled shaped blood cells getting caught in small arteries and veins and capillaries and causing pain. So now we talked about blood. Let's talk about cholesterol. Boy, this is fun. Let's see. Let's scroll down. So what is cholesterol? It is a steroid that body needs to perform many different functions and structures. If you scroll down, I'm pretty sure you'll find that. Here we go. It's a lipoprotein made of protein and fat. So what is LDL? LDL is the bad cholesterol. Oh, it doesn't say that there, but it is. LDL means low density lipoprotein. That's the bad one. You want that number to be low. And what is high density? What is HDL? This is the stuff that gets all the excess cholesterol out of your bloodstream. So that's the good one. Now you know. So which one is considered, oh, spoiler alert, HDL is considered the good one. So what happens to blood pressure when plaque builds up on the artery walls? Let's take a look. Here is some plaque buildup, and you see it narrows right here. Okay, so if the blood has to go through a smaller opening, the pressure is going to go up or down. Sure. it's going to go up. Blood has to be forced through a smaller opening. So optimal levels. I think this is in this, but maybe it isn't. Optimal levels. Nope, nope, nope. So here we go. We'll Google this again. Here we go. Optimal cholesterol levels. So less than 200. Milligrams per what? LDL. What's the optimal level? I'm sure it's going to be right there. So, oh, here's HDL. So it's 60 or higher. Let's see if I can find a chart. I feel like I should be able to find a chart. Here we go. Ideal. So less than 170, less than 110, greater than 45. So less than 170, less than 110, and it's going to be the same units, greater than 45. Now you know. And knowing is half the battle. So let's see. Other things doctors will monitor is glucose. Glucose is your sugar. Okay. High levels indicate diabetes risk. So high levels may indicate diabetes in some form. And the flip side, which they don't really talk about, is low levels may indicate hypoglycemia. When you run low on blood sugar, your body has a mechanism to convert some other stuff, glucagon in particular, into sugar. Hypoglycemia means your body can't do that. So if you know somebody with hypoglycemia, that's what's happening. So electrolytes. Electrolytes are minerals. They carry, let's see, they keep water balance and they carry electrical signals. So they keep water balance, carry electrical. Cool. So blood, urea, nitrogen, and creatinine. This I know because my dad's in like end stage renal failure, which means he has to have dialysis. High creatinine. Let me see if they word it better. Let's see. Waste products filtered out by the kidneys. So levels give an indication of how well the kidneys are functioned. Actually, I'm just going to put that. These indicate kidney function. Generally, you want the number for your creatinine to be low-ish. Yay. So here we go. Charlie Nowak's data. So we have this mostly done. Now we're going to finish up Charlie Nowak's chart. Isn't this great? So go back to classwork, scroll down to Charlie Nowak, and I'm going to open up the one that I've been typing on, and you will have access to this. Yay. And I'm going to magnify so you can read it. Now I'm going to go back to the lab journal entry because here I have it linked. Charlie Nowak's test results. So let's see. Sounds normal. Urine is dark yellow. Dark yellow urine is an indication of some dehydration. So let's see. Lab results. Dark yellow urine. Dehydration. See what else we can see. A mole on the left shoulder shows irregular borders and at least 3 distinct colors. So we should definitely, not highlighting that stuff, we should definitely note that down. Let's see. We'll put it under plan of care. Mole with irregular borders and multiple colors. What should we watch for? Do you guys remember the name of that? Melanoma. I think somebody said it. Observe over time for signs of melanoma. And they may actually send that out the same day. Eye exam is normal. Let's see what else we have. Health conditions, nope. Medications, we have that done already. Lab results. So let's just quickly scan. White blood cell. Patient is 5,005, normal. She's within normal. Red blood cells, 5.5. She's slightly elevated, so let's put that in lab results. Red blood cells, slightly elevated. Let's keep looking at those results. 44.1, it's within normal. Hemoglobin, normal. Platelets, normal. Let's take a look at her metabolic panel. Isn't this great? Normal, normal, normal. Oh, see, 0.61. So yeah, you want it to be kind of low for creatinine, I mean. Normal. Sodium slightly elevated. So we'll note that down too. Take a look at her other results. Potassium normal, chloride slightly elevated. And if sodium's elevated, usually chlorine is too, because sodium chloride is table salt. Chloride. Let's look at what else. Normal, 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 and normal. Total, it looks like her total cholesterol is slightly elevated and her LDL is slightly elevated as well. So total cholesterol and LDL cholesterol, we'll put that on the same line, slightly elevated. Okay, so let's look at her urine. Her P indicates she's dehydrated. Her red blood cell is slightly elevated, but her sodium chloride and cholesterol are all elevated. So what would you recommend for her going forward? So plan of care for her. If she has a high salt and high cholesterol. Yes. I heard somebody say it. Patient should go on a low sodium, low cholesterol hit. Thank you, autocorrect. And potentially, I'm going to put this in parentheses, potentially follow up with a dietitian. I'm not sure if we did a lab journal for dietitian, but they have a very important job that they tell you what to eat and how to be healthy. So we did that, guys. Way to go. You can turn this in now. So you can close it, hit that turn in button, okay? And let's look at this conclusion question. Even though many people realize the power of routine exams, they are hesitant to schedule. So what factors may impact, I can speak, a patient's compliance with standard preventative care? I heard somebody say it. Insurance, um, busy schedule. Yep, somebody said it. I can hear these in my mind because you guys give such good answers. Um, no signs of illness mean patients, people forget routine care. Yeah. I mean, if you're not feeling sick, you're not going to go in for a routine exam unless you play a sport and you have to. I don't remember the last time I went in for routine care, which is not good because I have a thyroid issue that needs monitoring. But busy schedule and it doesn't generally show any symptoms mean I never really follow through. I should, but I don't. If you have other ideas there, you can go ahead and put those down too. But now we're done with this. Wasn't it fun? I hope you didn't fall asleep. You can close this and turn it in. Good job, guys. You did it. We made it through.